Hey y'all, how's it going? As you can see, this is not my normal setup by any means. There's been a lot going on. If you've been catching up with me, you know that I've been on vacation and I was like, I'm gonna get back to reviewing things eventually. And so unfortunately our flight was canceled. They've been having some wacky things with flights lately, so we were affected by that and we have to stay in Los Angeles for another day. I know, how sad. But I just wanted to get a video out anyway because I'm like, it's I felt, you know, you can feel like, oh my gosh, I have to put a video, I have to talk about it. So yeah, we're here to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi episode 6, the season finale, which I just watched literally today. I was like, it's been a whole week since this has come out and I just want to talk to y'all about it. So let's dive right into it. And I've got my notes, I took notes and everything, but it feels like I didn't have a lot to say about it at the same time. Also, my brother is in the room right now. He's got his headphones on, so let's hope that he doesn't give any spoilers. And we've got Snoopy here with us just to kind of, you know, set the mood. So, right, I'm not doing any cuts, so I can't. I wanted to talk about Reva first, since she has kind of been a big pivotal character, and that's not kind of like she has, even more so almost than Obi-Wan. I know a lot of people will be like in Twitter comments like, you know, why is Reva blah blah blah. It's fine, I think the amount of screen time that she got, but overall I felt like she did have a weird arc, and I also want to preface that I'm going to be doing a general review of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the same way I did with Moon Knight. So I really want to just focus on this episode and talking spoilers, and then hopefully next week I can do a full review, but I mean, that's still going to be encompassed in this anyway, just a little bit. But yeah, her going to Luke, right? We knew she was going to be going to Luke in this episode, heading to Tatooine and going to hunt him down. But it just never was clear to me why she would want to do that in the first place. You know, I had surmised last week that she might have wanted to go to, I don't know, basically kill him, right? Because she was upset at Obi-Wan. She knew he was protecting another child. And so she figured she'd kill the kid and that would be another way. I don't know. And I was never really quite, I guess, satisfied in the fact that her plans never quite made sense, especially with the whole trying to be Inquisitor thing to get Obi-Wan Kenobi, or, you know, like using Leia and Obi-Wan Kenobi to get Darth Vader, essentially, right? Because she had out against Anakin. And then I understood. I was like, okay, that's a pretty decent plan. It just, to me, was the whole lead up to it. And the fact that she did meet Vader twice, I was like, so she's met him, and yet she still is hunting Obi-Wan Kenobi to try to get at him. Now, I'm like, you know, when I offer a criticism, I like to also try to offer a solution to how it could have worked, because, you know, you can't just make empty threats or critiques and then not have something to back it up, like, oh, well, how would you have done it? So I don't know. I was like, okay, maybe if they hinted at her being good, or potentially like to show that she wasn't just an Inquisitor, you know, because she grew to the dark side in the Empire. Because I still, you know, I think by the end, yes, we know where she stood, but overall she just wanted to get at Vader. She really did not care about whoever else was in her path. So, you know, if there was a scene like in a village where it required her to torture someone or required her to do this and do that, and she was hesitant about it, I think maybe that would have been a little more, I don't know, not productive, but just helped her case a little bit more. And then I'm looking at my notes here. I guess at the same time, she did eventually realize, okay, I'm doing all these things because I hate Anakin, and yet here I am, you know, holding the mirror up to my face. And by the end, she realizes, oh, I am doing the same thing that Anakin's doing, so maybe I should stop that. So I do have to give them some credit there. I was like, her plan doesn't make sense because she doesn't know what she's doing, but I guess the fact that she realized what she was doing in the end makes sense. Does that make sense, little Snoopy? I hope it makes sense to him at least. So I don't know, I'll give them some credit there with her character, but I just think the fact that it was kind of, to me, just, I don't know if I want to say clumsily handled, but I just, you know, it was so underwhelming by the time I got to episodes 3 and 4 that and 5, and it's like by the time I get to this, I'm like, well, I'm glad she worked out, you know. So yeah, I guess the next question is, what does Reva do now? Like, is she gonna get, I know there's been rumors about her having a spinoff and things like that. I'm like, I don't care either way. I think by me saying I don't care, it means I would prefer that she gets a spinoff, only because I just didn't vibe with her character the whole entire time. But I do think there's some potentially interesting stuff there, being a rogue, force-sensitive person, and she's no longer an Inquisitor. I would assume she's no longer an Imperial. I didn't see her die in the episode. It was kind of sunny and the screen was really dark, so I couldn't see anything, but it looks like she's still alive and well. So yeah, if they do want to go ahead with her story, there could be some interesting things, but ultimately I'm kind of like, less is more Star Wars. That's something that I actually did want to talk about, and I hope my brother has his headphones up on high, was this final showdown scene between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin, which was actually a favorite scene of mine. In 3 episodes, I finally have something good to say, so that is quite monumental now. I don't know if we could call it the showdown of the century. I know they were, or the rematch of the century, because I know they were billing it to be that way. I don't think anything can really top, obviously, what happened on Mustafar, and then just thinking about the OT stuff. But I do have to say, it was a rather high-octane battle. I'm glad that Obi-Wan was finally able to get his strength back and able to fight back and all that. And you know, I wrote here, you know, we see that they're still evenly matched, but not even that, because you know, Obi-Wan eventually did best Anakin in that fight. And I do have to give them credit with this, when he, you know, cuts the try not to, I have to talk spoilers here, you know, half of his mask is cracked to reveal, you know, what he has become, and then Obi-Wan sees that, he's like, oh my god, you know, I didn't know it was that bad. Yeah, he left him on Mustafar to burn to a crisp. But yeah, I thought that was rather emotional for me, and it kind of goes back to the stuff from episode 1 and 2 that really got me, was, you know, thinking about the ramifications of their relationship, you know, how it's evolved over time, and you know, eventually how it's gotten to this point. And so yeah, I think that scene was really well done. I have to give them a round of applause. To me, you know, even the voice going in and out between, you know, Anakin, Hayden Christensen voice, and then kind of the James Earl Jones voice, I thought that was really cool. And you know, to kind of again see, I guess when you're watching the original trilogy, you just see Darth Vader, so just it feels like another person. I mean, in a way it is. And then here you kind of see that divide, you see that transition a little bit more, kind of in the way you really only get to see in Revenge of the Sith at episode 3. So I did indeed like that. And I was wondering, I was like, oh no, are they gonna make this to be like where it's kind of the Kylo Ren thing? And I mentioned this, I think, with Reva, where there's a pull to the light, and you know, Vader kind of hesitates. But you know, it's my nerdy belief that Vader, there's like no shred of light in him. I mean, we see what's happened to him in the original trilogy, and how, you know, in his transition from Revenge of the Sith to episode 4, it's like, no, he's a villain, he's the bad guy. There's nothing left that's redeemable in him. So I'm glad that they didn't try to plant little seeds to try to give him a redemption arc, because there's nothing to redeem. I know we all love this character, and we wish it were different, but that's the way it goes, man. So I did like the fact that Obi-Wan had to come to this acceptance that Anakin is dead. There's nothing more that he can do. He tried on Mustafar. He tried just now, and you know, that's it. So they all just had to kind of walk away from it. And to me, it did feel kind of weird though, that it felt like everything wrapped in a way where it was like, all right, well, I just accept that we can't catch Obi-Wan. I just accept that I can't kill Darth Vader. So that's the end of the episode, guys. But I don't know, I still like that scene, so I'll give them some props for this. But yeah, I don't know if I have much more else to say. The video ends up being 30 minutes long. But I think this was a decent finale. I wasn't necessarily a fan of the Reva stuff cutting into the Vader fight. I was like, you know, we're going from something that's really, really interesting to something that I really don't care about. It felt low stakes. We know it was gonna happen to Luke anyways. So I was like, I don't care about whatever Reva is about to do on Tatooine. Just let me see the Vader fight. I wish it was more cinematic in that way, where they just let it play out and they just let it have more room to breathe, instead of trying to be like, what if we make it more exciting by putting in the Z plot? No. And there were also just some great random moments as well. When they finally drop Leia, or Leia meets Obi-Wan again, and he's like, you know, I did, talking about his mother, you contributed these gifts from your mother and these gifts from your father. I was like, okay, you got me there. That was quite emotional. And the hello there, that was spoiled for me. That's what happens when you take a week off. You start seeing spoilers as well as the Qui-Gon, you know, as well as that was spoiled for me. But as far as him appearing, it felt a little bit like empty fan service. I thought we were gonna get a point where Qui-Gon would come to give Obi-Wan wisdom and guide him or do something like that. I mean, sure, in hindsight I can kind of see like, oh, you know, you knew it all along, Obi-Wan. But also it's like, well, then why did Qui-Gon have to appear in the first place? You know, then rather than just for people to be like, oh my gosh, that's Liam Neeson. So I mean, I could have done without it. They did a Chekhov's gun thing with it, so sure, we needed to have him, but they also could have not just set that up in the first place and it would have been fine. Oh, as well as the Emperor, a little, I don't know how I feel about that. It felt like Ian McDermott kind of phoned it in, if that truly was him. I saw his name in the credits in that scene. I was like, oh wow, he doesn't really seem excited to be doing this right now. So it kind of sucked the energy out of that scene for me. But I don't know why I didn't imagine that the Emperor would be in this episode. I was like, yeah, that's true. He should be in this episode, or he should be in this series. Why not? I hope I don't sound like a cynic or anything like that. You know, you just want things to be done right. Speaking of done right, I'm glad they gave Aunt Beru something. You know, she was headstrong. She knew what to do, how to protect Luke and all that. So I'm glad that she at least had something to do. So yeah, overall, I'm gonna reserve my entire criticism for next week when I get to review the entire series. Now that everything is out, now that everything has happened. There's been goods, there's been some bad, so we'll see what my final grade will be, hopefully next week. And as far as regular scheduled programming, I have no clue. Hopefully we can make it back home tomorrow. That would be awesome. I mean, at this point, I'm just a regular citizen of Los Angeles. And as well, I know there's people who want me to review Miss Marvel episode 3, and I'm sure there's a lot of y'all who want to talk about Westworld season 4 premiere as well. So I have a long list. That's why I wanted to knock this finale out of the way, and at some point we'll keep the train going. So please do be sure to like this if you enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe for more, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought about the finale, what your favorite moment was, if you agreed with me, or whatever is on your mind, such as how to buy an apartment in Los Angeles if I just have to end up living here for the rest of my life because I can't leave. But I should stop rambling. Have a great week, guys, and I'll see you at some point later in the next video. Bye.